Imagine not worrying about your legs getting weaker as you age. No constant fatigue, no fear of losing mobility. For many Amish people families, that's just normal life. And it's not genetics, it's what's on their plate every single day. Now, I want to talk to you about something I watched happen to people I love, because I think it will mean something to you. My sister-in-law, Miriam, lived in the city for a number of years. Her husband worked in construction, and they had a small apartment, and they ate the way city people eat: convenient things, packaged things, a lot of bread from a store, meat from a package, very few vegetables, almost no whole foods the way we grow and cook them. By the time Miriam was in her mid-60s, she could barely walk up a flight of stairs without her legs shaking. She had that heaviness, you may know what I am describing, that feeling like your legs are full of something thick and slow. Her ankles swelled by evening. Her knees ached with a deep, grinding soreness that had moved in like a permanent guest and never left. She told me once that she woke up every morning, and the first thing she felt was dread. Not pain, exactly. Just that dread of having to stand up and find out what her legs were going to feel like that day. She came to stay with us for a summer when her husband passed, and we just fed her, the way we always eat: simple food, whole food, food that comes from the ground and from the work of our hands. And by the end of that summer, and I am not exaggerating this, I watched it happen, she was walking our lane every morning, half a mile, then a full mile, then more. The swelling had gone down. The shaking on the stairs was gone. She told me the dread was gone. She asked me what I had done to her. I told her I had not done anything. The food did it. The food we have always eaten. The food I am about to tell you about. Before I tell you about the 3 foods, I want you to understand something, because if you understand the why, you will not need me to convince you of anything. The food will speak for itself. Your legs are the farthest point from your heart. Every bit of blood, every bit of nourishment, every bit of oxygen your legs receive has to travel the longest distance in your body to get there. That means your legs are the first place you feel it when something is wrong with your circulation. The first place you feel it when inflammation starts creeping through your joints. The first place you feel it when your muscles are not getting the nutrients they need to stay strong. Most people, as they get older, start eating less. Less food overall, less variety, less of the things that actually build and repair muscle tissue and keep joints moving smoothly. And at the same time, the modern diet piles on things that work against the legs. Too much salt, which holds fluid in the tissues and causes that swollen, heavy feeling. Too much refined sugar, which drives inflammation deep into the joints and connective tissue. Too many processed foods, which the body burns through like cheap fuel and leaves nothing useful behind. Your legs are asking for something specific. And 3 foods, foods that have been on the Amish table for generations, give the legs almost exactly what they are asking for. Let me tell you about them one at a time. The first food is something that sits on a shelf in every Amish kitchen I have ever been inside: raw apple cider vinegar, the kind with what we call the mother, that cloudy, stringy sediment at the bottom of the bottle that most people shake out or throw away, not knowing it is the most valuable part. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You have heard of apple cider vinegar. Maybe you tried it once and it burned your throat and you put it down and never picked it up again. I understand that. I want to tell you there is a right way to take it, and I will get to that. But first, let me tell you why it matters so much for your legs. Here is what most people do not know about their joints. Inside every joint, your knees, your hips, your ankles, there is something called synovial fluid. It is a thick, slippery liquid that cushions the joint and lets the bones move against each other without grinding. When that fluid is healthy, movement is smooth and painless. When it becomes thick, sluggish, or inflamed, you get that grinding, aching, stiff feeling that most people are told is just arthritis, just aging, just the way things are. Raw apple cider vinegar contains something called acetic acid, along with a collection of enzymes and beneficial acids that help break down the calcium deposits and mineral buildup that can make that joint fluid thick and sticky. It does not happen overnight, but over weeks and months of consistent use, people who take it regularly, including many in our community, report that the grinding softens, the stiffness in the morning lessens, movement becomes freer. But there is more than just the joints. Apple cider vinegar helps regulate blood sugar, and blood sugar matters enormously for your legs. When blood sugar swings up and down, which it does when people eat a lot of refined carbohydrates and sugar, it causes a kind of low-grade inflammation throughout the body that settles most noticeably in the legs. The joints swell. The muscles cramp more easily. The circulation to the feet and calves becomes sluggish. Apple cider vinegar helps smooth out those blood sugar swings, and the legs feel the benefit directly. And the potassium in raw apple cider vinegar, particularly in the mother, helps counteract the sodium that causes fluid retention. If your ankles are swollen by evening, if your legs feel heavy and tired, that is often excess fluid being held in the tissues because the sodium-potassium balance in your body is off. Apple cider vinegar helps restore that balance gently over time, without any of the side effects you get from medications that try to do the same thing. In our community, we take a tablespoon in a glass of water in the morning. Some people add a little raw honey, which helps with the taste and adds its own benefits. We do not drink it straight. That is too harsh and is not necessary. A tablespoon in a full glass of water every morning before you eat anything else. That is how we have done it my whole life. And I believe it is one of the reasons my knees still bend the way they should at 80 years old. The second food is bone broth. And I want you to hear me say this clearly. I am not talking about the broth in a can or a carton at the grocery store. I'm talking about real bone broth, made the old way, simmered for many hours until the bones give up everything they have inside them. In every Amish household I grew up around, nothing was wasted. When a chicken was butchered, the bones went into a pot. When beef was prepared, the bones went into a pot. Those pots would sit on the back of the stove, or in earlier times over a low fire, for 8, 10, 12 hours or more. What came out of that pot was not just soup, it was medicine. Here is what I mean by that. When you simmer bones for a long time, especially bones with joints attached, like knuckles and feet, the heat draws out something called collagen. Collagen breaks down into gelatin in the broth, and gelatin is what your joints are made of, the cartilage in your knees, the connective tissue around your hips, the cushioning in your ankles. All of it is built from collagen, and as we age, the body makes less and less of it. Most older people who have painful, stiff legs are not deficient in calcium. They are not deficient in exercise. They are deficient in the raw materials the body needs to repair and maintain the connective tissue in their joints. Bone broth provides those raw materials directly in a form the body absorbs easily because it has already been broken down by the long cooking. There is also a compound in bone broth called glucosamine and chondroitin, words you may have seen on expensive supplement bottles at the pharmacy. Those supplements are trying to replicate what a bowl of properly made bone broth gives you naturally and inexpensively. Our grandmothers did not know the scientific names for these compounds. They just knew that people who drank broth regularly moved better and hurt less. And they were right. Beyond the joints, bone broth is rich in glycine, an amino acid that helps reduce inflammation throughout the body, including in the blood vessels that supply the legs. Poor circulation in the legs, the cold feet, the cramping calves, the aching at night, is often a circulation problem as much as a joint problem. Glycine supports the health of the blood vessel walls and helps blood move more freely through the smallest vessels, the ones that reach the muscles and joints in your lower legs and feet. We make bone broth at least once a week in our house. I have a cup every morning, sometimes two. Warm, plain, with a small amount of salt and sometimes a little garlic. It takes time to make, that is the honest truth, but it does not take much effort. You put the bones in a pot with water and some vinegar, which helps draw the minerals out, and you let it go. You come back many hours later, and you have something that I believe is worth more for the health of your legs than almost any food you could buy at a store. If you do not have time to make it yourself, you can find good quality bone broth at health food stores now. Look for the kind that gels when it is cold. That tells you the collagen content is high. If it stays liquid like water in the refrigerator, it was not cooked long enough and does not have much of what your legs are looking for. The third food is something that used to be in nearly every American kitchen before the refrigerator changed how people stored their food. Fermented vegetables. In our home it is sauerkraut most often, but also fermented beets, fermented carrots, sometimes kimchi-style preparations if we have the cabbage for it, anything that has been lacto-fermented, left with salt and time to develop the beneficial bacteria that transform a simple vegetable into something extraordinary. Now, you may be wondering what fermented vegetables have to do with your legs, and I want to explain this connection because I think it is the most surprising one of the three and the one that most people miss entirely. Your muscles, including every muscle in your legs, are not just built from protein. They are built from the nutrients your gut absorbs and delivers to them. And if your gut is not healthy, if the bacteria living in your digestive system are out of balance, your muscles do not receive the nutrients they need, no matter how much good food you eat. The absorption is broken, the pipeline is clogged. Fermented vegetables are the single most powerful way I know of to repair and maintain a healthy gut. The beneficial bacteria in naturally fermented sauerkraut, for example, are of a kind and quantity that no probiotic pill I have ever seen can match. These are living cultures that have been present in traditional food for thousands of years. They are what your digestive system expects to receive. And when they arrive, they go to work immediately, rebalancing the gut environment, crowding out the harmful bacteria that cause inflammation, restoring the absorptive lining of the intestine. When your gut heals, even partially, even over several months, your muscles begin to receive what they have been missing. Magnesium, which is critical for preventing the leg cramps that torment so many older people at night. Vitamin K2, which directs calcium into the bones and away from the arteries and joints where it does damage. B vitamins, which are essential for nerve function in the legs, for that tingling, that numbness, that pins and needles feeling in the feet that so many people suffer with, and are told is simply nerve damage that cannot be helped. I do not believe it cannot be helped. I have watched too many people bring fermented vegetables into their diet and watched those symptoms soften over time. Not for everyone, not completely, not overnight, but enough to matter. Enough to make getting out of bed in the morning feel like something to look forward to again. In our community, we put sauerkraut on the table at nearly every meal. A small amount, a few forkfuls, is all that is needed. You are not eating it as a vegetable serving. You are eating it as medicine in food form. A tablespoon or two with lunch or dinner every day without fail. The consistency is what matters. The bacteria need to be replenished regularly because they do not set up permanent residence overnight. If you have never made sauerkraut, I want to tell you it is the simplest thing in the world. Cabbage, salt, thyme, that is all. You shred the cabbage, you work in the salt with your hands until the juice runs free, you pack it tight into a jar, you put a weight on it, and you leave it for 1 to 4 weeks. What you get out of that jar at the end costs almost nothing and is worth more for your legs than a shelf full of supplements. I want to stop for a moment and say something that has nothing to do with food, because I would not feel honest if I left it out. I believe our legs stay strong in our community, in part because we have never been given the option to stop using them. There is no elevator on a farm. There is no driving to the corner store. There is no sitting for 8 hours in front of a screen. We walk because walking is how we live. We bend and carry and stand and move because the work requires it. And I know that most of you watching this do not live the way I live. I am not asking you to. I am not standing here telling you that you need to become a different person, but I am asking you to consider one thing. The body remembers what it was made to do, and it responds when you remind it. Even a short walk in the morning, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, around the block, down the lane, wherever you have, tells the legs something important. It tells them they are still needed. It tells them the blood is coming, the nutrients are coming, the work is not over yet. Combine that with the 3 foods I have told you about, and you are giving your legs both the raw materials and the signal to use them. That combination, in my experience, is what actually changes things. I want to talk about something that took me many years to understand, and I wish someone had told me when I was your age, because I think it would have saved a lot of people I loved a great deal of suffering. Your legs talk to you every single day, and most people have been taught to ignore what they are saying, or worse, to silence them with a pill and call that a solution. When your legs cramp at night, waking you out of a dead sleep with that seizing, twisting pain in the calf, that is not just aging. That is your body telling you it is desperately short on magnesium. Magnesium is the mineral that tells a muscle to release after it contracts. Without enough of it, the muscle fires and then cannot let go. The cramp is the message. Most people reach for a heating pad. What they should be reaching for is a bowl of fermented vegetables and a cup of bone broth, because both of them help restore the magnesium and electrolyte balance that the cramping is begging for. When your feet tingle or go numb, that pins and needles feeling that starts in the toes and works its way up, that is your nerves asking for B vitamins and better circulation. Not a nerve medication, not something that dulls the signal. The signal is the point. The signal is your body showing you exactly where the need is. When your knees ache going downstairs but not going up, that is your cartilage telling you it is thinning, that the cushion is wearing low, that the collagen it needs to repair itself is not arriving. That specific pattern, worse going down than up, is one of the clearest signs I know that bone broth needs to be on your table, and soon and consistently. When your legs feel heavy by 2 p.m, like they are full of something slow and thick that is fluid, that is your lymphatic system struggling to move waste and excess fluid back up from your lower limbs. It happens when inflammation is high, when salt intake is too much, when you have been sitting too long and the muscle-pumping action that helps move lymph has stopped working for you. A tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar in the morning helps. Standing up and walking even 5 minutes every hour helps more than most people realize. None of these signals are your body failing you. Every single one of them is your body trying to communicate with you, clearly, specifically, faithfully, about what it needs. In our community, we have always treated the body's signals with respect. We do not silence them. We listen to them and we respond with food and movement and patience. Your legs are not your enemy. They are trying to get your attention. Let them. I want to tell you about something we do in Amish homes that has nothing to do with a specific food, but that I believe ties everything together. And it is something so simple that when I say it, You may think I am not being serious. I am being completely serious. We eat together, every meal, around a table, without distraction. Now, I know that sounds like I am talking about community or family values, and yes, it is that. But I am actually talking about something physical, something that happens in your body when you slow down and sit and eat with other people versus eating alone in front of a television or eating quickly standing over a counter.